perspectives from the SDGs. And I'll be very fast, I'll be very brief. I'm sorry I'm not able to come with any presentation in form of a slide. So for that reason, I will try to be as slow as possible so that we can all follow up, because I have some facts to give to us. Social justice perspectives from the SDGs. We all know that the SDGs stands for Sustainable Development Goals, right? Please let's respond. Is that what it stands for? Yes. And I'm very sure that every one of us here knows that SDGs is actually a continuation of MDGs, which is Millennium Development Goals. One of the first things I would like to say about SDGs is this. Whenever I have the opportunity to speak about SDGs, I try to be as realistic as possible. I try to tell people some hard truths. They are truth, but they are so hard to believe. And one of the things I will say first is this. As far as SDGs is concerned, Africa, Nigeria in particular, even if the deadline is moved to 2050, we cannot attain it. That is one of the truths we must accept. Why am I saying this? I'm saying this because even the organizations that actually drafted these SDGs, they are characterized by inequality. I'm very sure that we all know that the goal of the SDG is trying to eliminate inequalities, right? Yes, that is the ultimate goal, trying to close the inequality gap in human societies. But why I said this goal cannot be attained is this. These organizations that try to, they have this duty of what we call agenda setting. Just setting the agenda for all the nations of the world to begin to do what? Work towards. Now they set a goal for closing the gap for inequalities, and they themselves, they are marked by inequalities. We all know the United Nations. We all know IMF. We all know World Trade Organizations. We all know IBM, the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development. These are all Western-led organizations, though they are international. African countries are member states as well. Have you ever sit down and ask yourself, why does Africa don't have even a single permanent member in the United Nations Security Council? How many of us have ever sit down and asked ourselves this question? Now, do you know that Africa has 55 countries, right? Out of how many countries in the world? Let me just estimate the countries of the world is no more than 200, right? And Africa alone has 55 countries. It is almost 1/4. Two of us. 1/4, yet we are not adequately represented in the United Nations. Is that not an inequality? Is it not? It is. Now, to make it brief and clear, the international system has always been one of inequality par excellence. Inequality par what? Par excellence. Nations of the world were never created as equal partners. They were never created as equal partners. They were never equal on the ground of geographical continent size. They were never equal on the ground of natural resources endowment. They were never equal on many grounds. And yet, United Nations wants countries of the world to work and achieve sustainable development goal, which has the eradication of inequality as its core objective. How can this be possible? One other thing I would say is this. According to Robert Tucker is a Western scholar. Robert Tucker wrote a book which is titled Inequality Among Nations. And in this book, Robert Tucker was objective as possible. And he gave reasons why the international system cannot be a system of equality, why nations cannot be equal, and why it will be difficult to close this inequality gap that exists in the international system. And according to him, one of the reasons why this will be very difficult is because the nations that actually control the UN, the World Trade Organization, IMF and others, they benefit from this inequality. In terms of trade, for instance, trade between these countries and other countries of the world is unequal. Nations of the world do not gain equally from this trade. So those that benefit, they do not want any fundamental change. Take for instance, some of us are aware for a long time now, there has been talks about making some changes in the UN. Some of us have heard about the decision to have 2 members from African countries in the Security Council. All of us have heard about it. There has been talks about this, but to date, it has not been made effective. Why? Because those who are in a position to do this, they do not want to see this fundamental change. Why? Because they benefit from this inequality, and now they are giving us SDGs. Let me be sincere to us. Africa should be left alone. Africa would attain a level of development that is commensurate with its capability, with its resources. Africa, it's not as if we cannot march along with the rest of the world, but we need to be left alone to develop at our own pace. Giving all these SDGs, and they know fully well that Africa cannot meet it. We did not meet it under MDG. Did we do that? What you did not attain under MDGs, how do you want to sustain it under SDGs? Can you sustain something that was not attained? It's not possible. So that is one of the truths I want to tell us here. Now, social justice perspective from the SDGs. I would also want to say that when we talk about social justice, we are talking about nothing else than human rights. Please, Titi, can you give them the booklet? Give them the booklet. When we talk about social justice is a relatively new concept. Compared to the concept of justice, it's relatively new. New in the sense that it came up just recently, and it was initiated by the defunct Soviet Union in the 1960s, when they were making some declarations about social progress, social development, and this concept was highly supported by the developing countries, majority of which are Africans. They supported this concept. Now, this concept, if you look at it closely, we need to understand this concept very well before we can discuss it from the perspective of SDGs. The SDGs themselves are nothing but talking about human rights, looking at it from the economic and the social perspectives. What do we mean when we say eradicating poverty or hunger, gender equality? What does all this mean? They are nothing but another way of talking about the need to promote and to protect human rights. Please, if you have been giving your booklet, you do me a favor. Turn your booklet to the preamble. The preamble of the 1948 Universal Declaration of Human Rights. I want us to see something there. Turn your booklet to the preamble. Turn your booklet to the preamble. You see it in page 6. Yes, turn your booklet to the preamble. Just look at the first paragraph. I want us to read it together, please, because there is something I want to point out there. If you are there, please let us read it together at the count of 3. 1, 2, 3, go.
Whereas recognition of inherent dignity and the
equal and inalienable rights of all members of the human family is the foundation of freedom, justice, and peace in the world.
All this there. The word I want us to look at is, it is the foundation of what?
Freedom.
What?
Freedom.
What again?
Justice.
What again?
Peace.
This document has actually mentioned just 3: freedom, justice, peace. But I'm standing here and I'm telling you that human rights is the foundation of every societal value, every good thing that humanity strives for, every good thing that humanity continues to cherish. Human rights is the foundation, including the SDGs. The SDGs have their foundation as human rights. They are built on no other foundation but what? Human rights. Which means if we must attain these SDGs, then what we really need to do is to take human rights seriously. Pay more attention to human rights.